Hello. Did you think the screen was frozen? Alrighty then. Well, my name is Jason Hewlett. It's good to see you today. It is Friday afternoon. I hope you're ready for an awesome weekend. I know I am. It's been a long week of good work. I'm grateful for that. I love my job. My job is to make people smile and think through the promise presentations that I deliver throughout the world. And yesterday I had a cool experience, an interesting one. I got to perform and speak at a group that is a great company going through a big rebrand. And the CEO and founder introduced me by saying something I really didn't want him to. He hasn't seen me perform in a long time, as in years and years, even since I retired a major routine that I was like, oh no, he said it. In fact, he said, please welcome a guy that you're going to love. And he's known for his Jim Carrey routine. You guys are going to love this. Please welcome Jason Hewlett. And I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Because I've retired the Jim Carrey bit. Now you might wonder, why would I retire a Jim Carrey routine when all it is something funny? Well, a couple years ago, I really injured myself bad after having done the Jim Carrey routine for at least 10 years in front of 2,000 audiences. You see, I would do this routine where I was acting as Jim Carrey as at a Subway as a sandwich artist. And I'd whip my head all around, and then I would fall back on the ground, and I'd get a standing ovation every single time. It was automatic. I mean, I pretty much swear to you, it was automatic. Hey, Trevor Young, what's up, man? Thanks for saying hi. I miss you too, bro. Hope you and the family are well. I hope you and your family are well, dude. Trevor Young has seen the Jim Carrey routine I'm talking about probably more than anyone other than my brother Jared, who we did all these gigs together. Trevor's good to see you, man. Tell your family hi. Thanks for being here. So Trevor knows, he knows the reaction that I would get. Obviously, not every gig was awesome. But we had some classics where we're like, I wonder if they know how to laugh. It felt very virtual, but it was live in person. And so the Jim Carrey routine killed at every gig. People loved it. And the Jim Carrey routine was like me saying, what if Jim Carrey had never made it to Hollywood? What if he had a normal job? He would still make it awesome because that's his signature move. He would share his promise and he would be like, the tomatoes juicy, the pepper's spicy, the green pepper's just our taste. Yeah, the shredded lettuce is popular among our rabbi clientele. And I'd whip my head all around and slam on the ground. People were like, yeah, I love you. And I'm like, thank you. Thank you. Ouch, 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 ouch. And so I realized after a time or two, because sometimes I'd fall back and hit my head on the stage or on the cement, and that's the problem. But it got to the point where my neck hurt every day, all day, and there was something going on with my back. And so I went to a physical therapist, and they put weights on the back of my head and weights on the front of my chin. And they would do this weird stretch thing to try to get my neck to go back into place, my spine to realign. And they would ask me at the end of each, or at the beginning of each session, they'd say, hey, did you do something to your neck last night? And I was like, yeah, I do this Jim Carrey thing. And I'd whip my head around. They go, dude, don't do that. Don't do that. That's so bad for you. And I'm like, I know, but the audience loves it. It's so rad. And they're like, you can't do that. You've got to stop doing that. And I would lay it there at night after these sessions with these, therapists. I'd lay in my bed and I'd lay on the pillow and I'd be like, like, should I do it again at the next gig? Because it always got a standing ovation, Like when you're a performer, you're like, oh, pretty much sacrifice anything to get the reaction. But, it hurts. And so that's my question for you today is, what kind of promises are you breaking to yourself that the audience expects you to do? It might be that you've repositioned yourself. Maybe you've rebranded. Maybe you had a product that everybody loved about you, but it's hurting you. It's damaging your personal life or your ability to do what's going to be good in the future for yourself. And I know that there are people that have to make sacrifices that are big, big, big time, way more than what I'm talking about right now. But as you think about it for yourself, when and why did I retire the Jim Carrey routine? A couple years ago, I just said, I'm done. And I literally did the routine, fell on the ground, took the outfit off because I wore a Subway hat and a Subway apron, and I handed it to the person that we were honoring that night. That was interesting because I was like, "That's done," and that was hard to do, but it was a part of my promise. And I found it interesting that the guy introducing me would introduce me with that by saying, "Hey, his best thing is the Jim Carrey routine." And he was just trying to be nice. And I appreciate that he remembered that. But what happens when you're introduced to the stage and you're literally not going to do what they just talked about being your best thing? And so that's another reason why I wanted to hop on here today, is to just tell you about how you can create a story out of anything. You really can. This is not a false thing that happened. This happened to me yesterday. But you can create a story out of your past, out of the accidents, out of good stuff, out of the bad. And I'm putting together a speaker school, and we're actually doing a couple of sessions for free if you'd like to come. It's in Salt Lake City, Utah. So if you are in Salt Lake and want to come to Salt Lake, it's going to be rad, and it'll be next Wednesday. November the 10th is the first one. It'll be free. And we're just going to sit down and we're actually going to analyze some of the stories that I've done or performing that I've done. And if you're working, not necessarily to become a professional speaker, that's not the point. I mean, if you are, then this would be amazing for you. But let's say you're an executive that has a huge conference coming up and you have to tell a story that you're like, I don't know if I should share this story. I don't know how to do it. Well, I can show you how to do it. That'd be fun. Let's talk about it. Maybe you're working on doing a live stream or a webinar, a Zoom call. Maybe you want to make it more interesting. You want to share something you never have tried. Maybe it's a story that you know is so good, but you just can't say it right. That's what we're going to work on. And it's in combination with John Maxwell. If you're familiar with John Maxwell, he's the highest paid non-celebrity speaker there is. And if you haven't heard of John Maxwell, go YouTube the guy, because he's incredible. Like the best speaker you'll ever hear in your life. Leadership speaker. He's written over 80 books. He has 60,000 coaches and trainers around the world, which I am one of them. And so this is the Maxwell method of speaking, the Maxwell Speaker Club that we're putting together, and the first few are going to be free. So if you're around on Wednesday, November 10th, please come join us in Sandy, Utah. Just message me for details. I'll send them to you. I'd love to see you there. And hey, if you have a story you're working on, you want to bring it with us to us, let's talk. Let's do it. Let's have you mastermind and network with the other people that are there, because I know you have a story. I know you have a routine. Maybe there'll be a time when somebody introduces you and you're like, oh no, that is not what we were going to talk about today. How can you get out of that? There's plenty of ways. And so we're going to go over that, as well as with the John Maxwell method. We get to watch snippets of him doing his thing, whether it's the power of the pause or just his capability of taking you from laughing to crying. And then we're going to dissect it. We're going to talk through it with the founders of the Promise Institute. That would be Alan Roberts, Bud Heaton, Heidi Totten, and myself. And maybe you can get out of the Jim Carrey conundrum when somebody introduces you to do something you're not ready to do or going to do at all. And so it's going to be awesome. Hopefully you'll join us. And then in 2022, we're going to launch the speaking school, where if you want to join us for half a year or the entire year, we're going to go through this. There's 26 different lessons. It's going to be great. So if you're looking at increasing your leadership capacity, if you want to find out how great of a communicator you can be, message me. My cell, if you want to just text me, that's easy. 801-674-3668. Yes, I just gave out my cell phone, but yes, it's 801-674-3668. I'd love to see you there. I won't be doing my Jim Carrey routine, but I can still do plenty of funny things with my face. And when I do my promise message, do I not do the funny stuff? Do I not sing? Oh man, of course I sing. That's my signature move. It'd be like Jim Carrey working at Subway and not doing his. That was the whole point. It's just called keeping the promise. And when you think about breaking a promise to yourself this weekend, or in your work, or in your life, think about the Jim Carrey story. And even if it's one of your greatest things you do, but you know that it hurts you or harms you in some way, make the promise to not do that anymore. I hope that's a good reminder. Have a good weekend. Would love to see you at the speaker school. And we're out.